Do the Mavericks need another superstar to win the championship? When you think about the best players in the league right now, only a few players like Doncic, Jokic, or Giannis come to mind. You must be thinking that all these players have been amazing for their teams, right? Well, both Jokic and Giannis both won their team's championships. But Doncic? Well, that's a tricky question. Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today, we'll be talking about the fact that the Mavericks need another superstar to win them a championship. Well, I know you must be wondering, when you have players like Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, why would you need another superstar? But then again, if that is true, why hasn't the Mavericks won anything yet? Well, stick around to the end, as we answer these questions and more as we delve into the various intricacies surrounding the Mavericks. Without further ado, let us begin. Before we start talking about the fact that the Mavericks need another superstar to win a championship, let us talk about the build-up to this fact, and what has led to people talking about the team recently. As you all know, the Mavericks have one of the finest talents on their roster in Luka Doncic. He literally is a scoring wizard and can do everything, whether it's scoring, rebounding, assisting, or defending. So one would assume that if a team has a generational talent like Luka on their team, they would be vying for the championship at least once, as it is basically their best chance to win one. If they don't push for a championship, they will ultimately lose the generational talent to another team. That is why franchises line their teams based on their star player, so they are in their strongest position to win a championship. Well, unfortunately, based on the last few years, it seems like the Mavericks have been doing the opposite. When they bagged Luka Doncic, it became obvious that he was going to be one of the best in the world quite quickly. Soon, it became clear that the Mavericks needed to make some moves if they wanted to win something and keep their star player, like every franchise does. But somehow, they managed to make the whole thing worse. Let me give you all the rundown of how they literally worsened things in recent times. The Dallas Mavericks have experienced a notable decline in their overall value over the past few seasons, reflecting a series of mishaps and missed opportunities in roster management. For starters, we have the Jalen Brunson error, and boy oh boy, it was a big error. Immediately after leaving the Mavericks for literally nothing, he is easily one of the best guards in the league for the New York Knicks. It is pretty obvious that he is a superstar, and you had him all to yourself. The fact that you let him go just over money is ludicrous. But that is not all, folks. This departure represents a missed opportunity for the Mavericks to either retain valuable talent or leverage Brunson's trade value for assets that could have bolstered the team's roster. So basically, they got nothing in the end besides embarrassment and snickers from the rest of the league. But that was just the pick of the story for the Mavericks. They have made multiple errors. Besides the Brunson mix-up, Christian Wood came with a high price tag, a first-round draft pick. Well, despite only having Wood for one season, the Mavericks gave up future assets for a short-term gain, raising concerns about the overall value of the transaction. Basically, it was a waste. Similarly, the Mavericks had to include a 2030 first-round pick swap in the Williams trade, which increased the deal's cost. This additional cost must be factored into the true cost of the trade, raising questions about the acquisition's wisdom. Things like that go unnoticed at first, but their effect really piles on in the long term. I know you all must be wondering, what happened after all these missteps? Didn't Luka Doncic just say he had enough and move on to another team? Well, of course. Luka knew his worth, and it became apparent that after a series of bad decisions, things had to change, or else he would just move elsewhere and get that ring, not to mention solidify his legacy. Being the main player for the team, of course, he made his views clear and demanded urgency. And he was being rather humble given the fact how much the Mavericks have messed up recently. They need to learn from their mistakes and adopt a more strategic approach to roster construction. But how can they do that? Well, by prioritizing value, maximizing assets, and mitigating risks, the team can position itself for greater successes in the future. And after hearing Luka Doncic, their main superstar's need for urgency, they knew they had to act. And act they did. The fact that the Dallas Mavericks took decisive action in the final hours before the league's trade deadline showed how Luka Doncic was pulling the strings for the trade. Orchestrated by general manager Nico Harrison and the front office, the Mavericks executed key trades to boost their chances of winning the championship this season. Let us go through these trades one by one. The first trade saw the Mavericks acquire a 2024 first-round pick from OKC. In exchange, however, the Mavs gave up the right to swap first-round picks with OKC in 2028. Using their newly acquired first-round pick, the Mavericks signed Daniel Gafford from the Washington Wizards, sending Richaun Holmes as a salary match. To be very honest, this was a very good trade, all things considered, and it helped the Mavs improve their physicality and height on the court. But the second move was an even bolder one, as the Mavs acquired PJ Washington from the Charlotte Hornets in exchange for Grant Williams, Seth Curry, and their 2027 first-round selection, offering top 2 projections. I know that might seem like a big ask for a player like PJ Washington. He really has the physical attributes to become one of the best players in the league. Washington brings a formidable combination of athleticism and defensive prowess to the Mavericks lineup. Standing 6'7" with a wingspan of 7'3", Washington is expected to play a key role as the power forward in the team's starting lineup, providing both defensive tenacity and offensive versatility. No wonder the Hornets were so reluctant to part ways with Washington, but they eventually relented, facilitating the trade in the 11th hour before the deadline. Let's hope the Mavs make better use of a player like PJ Washington. They did not stop there, folks. According to various reports, they also explored the possibility of acquiring Kyle Kuzma from the Wizards, but discussions reached an impasse. I mean, the Wizards only have a few big names on their midst. Why would they let them go? Such a stance led to the Mavs focusing on Washington. Speaking of Washington, he really could be a steal for the Mavericks. Despite his obvious dips and bursts in form, Washington's scoring talent and potential for growth remain undeniable. In fact, with the Mavericks, he is expected to thrive in a more consistent role as a high-minute 3 and D player, offering a valuable complement to Doncic's playmaking abilities. And to top it all off, the acquisition of Gafford fortifies the Mavericks' front court, providing a formidable rim protector and pick-and-roll partner for Doncic. I'm sure if this team manages to click, they can really become huge championship contenders. I don't know if you have noticed up until now, but although these trades sound nice, the Mavs had to sacrifice a lot of future talent. It seems pretty obvious that they went all in to help Luka Doncic assemble the best team that could win them the title. However, it also tells you that the Mavs will be doomed if Luka Doncic does not hang out with the Mavs in the future, as they would have no real new draft players to rely on. However, let us hope that before they get to that stage, at least they have finally won a championship, or even multiple championships. Lastly, to answer the question, do the Mavericks need another superstar to win the championship? Well, it is not as straightforward as that. Sure, if we were to assume that Jalen Brunson was still with them, the trio of Brunson, Doncic, and Irving would have been elite, but that is not possible now. Moreover, given how much they have traded already, I doubt they will be able to get another superstar. So, to answer your question, well, in a sense, yes, the Mavericks need a superstar to guarantee a championship. That being said, they can also win one without a superstar. Let's just hope that Kyrie does not get injured and Luka keeps doing what he does best. Fingers crossed for their postseason run this year. Thanks for taking the time to watch our video. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed making it. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss a new video from us. If you did enjoy the video, give it a like and leave a comment. And if you have any suggestions or requests, let us know in the comments. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you in the next one.